my friends, Ashleigh here. I hope that this finds you well and welcome to Us For Real. So in this edition or episode or whatever you want to call it, this is our normal segment of Wine Talk Wednesday, and I typically will sit down with a glass of wine and hang out with you on a Wednesday and just talk about something that is important to me, sharing real life experiences, just talking about, I may talk about new products or the wine that I'm drinking, but a lot of times it's really meant to be a self-reflective moment and just kind of a sit down, chit chat, like let's hang out and have some talk here. So this is kind of my little segment, but today instead of drinking wine, I am having a sparkling ice pomegranate blueberry drink. And if you are wondering why I'm not drinking wine, check out this video. It's in one of these corners, but in my last episode, I talked about why I'm not drinking wine right now and the choice that I made to give up alcohol for the month of October. I am on I'm almost done. And it really hasn't been that hard. Please forgive me, but we'll be drinking this. And I've really been enjoying this sparkling ice. They come in like tons of different flavors and they've got that nice fizz to them. So it's like you're drinking soda or a nice rosé. And I'm so extra right now. Anyway, I wanted to sit down and share with you an experience that I had recently. I had an opportunity to go to a women's retreat, and I have my notes with me because it was a minute ago, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't leave anything out, but there were two main things that I wanted to share with you that I took away, messages that I heard, and interestingly enough, how perfect God's timing was in me going to that retreat. A dear friend of mine invited me out to it, and typically I don't say yes to those things, especially when it's on a weekend, and I covet my time like mofo. I am really selfish with my time, and that is because between work and the leadership responsibilities there, the leadership responsibilities to our business in 3LE, being a wife, like working out, staying in shape, keeping it all together, food prepping, keeping the house clean, doing the laundry, making sure that I am wearing matching socks in the morning, like it's a lot to handle, and we don't even have kids yet. And I don't want to put that on myself, but it's a lot. So I really am selfish with my time. But I have come to realize over the last half of this year, I need to be better about saying yes to things, especially when it's with people that I respect and like hold close to me. So I'm working to be better at that. First of all, the entire theme of the women's retreat was around real identity. Like, okay. Interestingly enough, I had just been talking to someone, a peer of mine at work who, again, a person that I respect a ton, about our identities and how it's so easy to wrap our identities in worldly things. So the clothes on our back, the amount of money in our bank account, the car that we drive, the relationships that we have, the title, that we have, the amount of like letters after our signature block in our email signature, how good our kids are at sports, like all of the things that, basically don't go with us when we leave this big ball of mud. I'll speak on behalf of myself, I sometimes like feel as though my identity is wrapped up in those things, and it's not. And how easy it is to begin to think that, and how the reminder of pulling yourself back to recognize what I heard this, I'm not gonna say that this is my saying because I heard this from a mentor a long time ago and it has stuck with me forever, knowing who you are and whose you are. I am a child of God. I am a daughter of the King of the Utmost High. And he has promised me good things. He has called me to do things in my life. And like all relationships, it requires work. He's going to do some work for me, and I'm going to go to work for him to uphold my part of my end of the deal, right? And that is important. And I have to continue to remind myself of that. I went to a couple of breakout sessions, one around, being a wife and, finding your identity as a wife in Christ, not just being Adam's wife, but being Ashleigh Rieger, and what does that mean? One around discovery, stepping in and understanding, having self-awareness to yourself, which is something I feel like I've really focused on in the last couple of years. I've had an opportunity through, my jobs to do some self-awareness discovery, and just, working with your husband in a business, you have to recognize your strengths and your weaknesses. And believe me, I have a nice list of weaknesses, but it's important. It's really important to know. But two things that stuck out to me that were interesting threads going into the weekend, whether I realized it or not, and were a part of the retreat, and then that came out of the retreat. One of them being, and I'll start with the one that, it was impactful, but the second one just like, wow. So the first one was around fruits of the Spirit. And basically, when I say fruits of the Spirit, I mean gifts. Everyone is born with gifts, and there are 9 fruits of the Spirit that they talk about and reference in the Bible, which are, bear with a girl, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Now, some of us are gifted in some of these more than in others, and that's okay. But God has called for us to use our gifts. And this is not something that I have read it, but I haven't really done a look inward to see, like, what are my gifts? Like, of these 9, what is God really put an exclamation mark on me? So coming out of the weekend, I'm like, where do I feel my gifts lie? And how can I continue to strengthen the areas I'm gifted in and share those things with my husband in our marriage, and with, our children, and in my relationships, whether it's, through work or business or personal life? Like, how can I do that? One thing that has been really important to us is around words of affirmation, and how words can have the ability to bring life or death. With your words, with my words, I have the ability to lift others up or tear others down. And that is something I've had to be, including myself, by the way. I read a book a long time ago that I still pick up every once in a while, short read. It's called Hung by the Tongue. And it's all about the self-talk that happens in your mind. But when you're speaking outwardly to people, it's important. One thing that we've worked to integrate into our lives is affirmations. And affirmations are important. They do need to be backed by work. You can't just speak things into existence. You have to go to work for them. But how it's really training your mind to flip the switch and start to program your brain in certain areas. And one of the things that I did coming out of there was I sat down and I made and have been creating affirmations as I have felt things that I need to work on that have come to me and have been spoken to me. It's like I've got to write that down, and I've got to start speaking that, and I've got to start working in those areas of my life. And one of them is around gifts, and understanding what my gifts are. So my first affirmation that I wrote out, that I am going to share with you, and yes, I recognize, I'll get to that in a minute. So first affirmation that I wrote down is, I am filled with the fruit of the Spirit. I live by the Spirit and not by the flesh. I lead by example and show my spouse and my children love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control through Christ. So that was number 1. I'm going to continue to kind of like figure out how I walk down that path, and what the gifts are that I have, and where I can grow in them, and recognize where I may be weak and may not be gifted, and how I can focus and maybe strengthen those a bit more as well. The second message that I took away that really, for me, I don't know if you have ever heard a message or a song or read something that just hit you. I've been in the ocean before, and I've had an opportunity to go out into the water, wade out in the water, and without even realizing it, have been knocked over by a wave and like, right? And you just get the wind knocked out of you. I had that happen in a message that I heard, and it was around your identity and how this woman who her husband is the lead pastor there, but she just gave an amazing message, and it was around how we can often attribute our identities to past things, things that we have let define us, whether it was, the job that we lost, the child that we gave up, the abusive relationship that we were in, the divorce that we had, how women can let those things define them. And they're living in their past. They're literally clinging to an identity of their past that is not even real. It's not even who they are. We can sometimes cling to so it's the good old days, but I call it the Uncle Rico effect, where you're clinging to, you used to be an awesome athlete, and that's what you're clinging to as your identity today, years and years and years later. You're clinging to the future and what you are going to become, which, don't get me wrong, that's not bad, but you have to recognize who you are and whose you are. And that's powerful. And how we should understand, first and foremost, we are a child of God. I am a daughter of the King of the utmost high. That is my identity, first and foremost, forever. But the thing that she said that I was sitting in my pew next to my friend, and she said it, and it was the literal wave. I felt it in my heart, I felt it in my head, I felt it in every limb of my body, and I felt like I was the only person in that room. I was in my lowly pew with a spotlight on me, and she was just talking to me. And she said, and I wrote it down, and it's not very long, but I wrote it down because it was profound for me, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. Some of your identity of the past, the good old days, or you are stuck in the present and afraid to go into God's calling in your life. You know where God is calling you to be, but you are afraid of it. You are afraid that you won't measure up, that you're not worthy, that and insert the self-deprecating thing here. And I have said this before, I have thought this before. I feel like I have literally been keeping myself in purgatory. And I'm not Catholic, but it has been a standstill. It's like I'm waiting for the next season of my life to start, instead of embracing who I am and whose I am, and knowing that I am capable of the next step. And I don't need to be fearful of, the identity of, I am like clinging to every last fiber of the present, because I am so afraid of the next step. And the next step looks like a lot of different things. It looks like starting a family. It looks like becoming a mother. It looks like, the new chapter that your marriage steps into. It looks like owning a business. It looks like so many different things. And I'm terrified. And I've known that. But she called me out. She didn't even know she was calling me out. And interestingly enough, as we were wrapping up and they did a prayer and we were talking, and I was talking with my friend afterwards, and I said, I shared with her that hit me. And it was one of those moments that I felt it, and every ounce of every cell of my body felt it. And I had just like, you get the waterworks and your eyes just well up, and you're like doing one of these, looking at the ceiling like, okay, it's gonna go away, it's gonna dry up, and it doesn't, and the tears just start to, and that's what happened. And I said to my friend, I shared with her that, you know, I felt just super convicted. And she's like, you know, and I'm like, that I heard that message. And she said, you know, it's interesting when she said that, and she said, you know, or you are stuck in the identity of the present. She's like, your name popped into my head. And I'm like, well then, geez, you know, like it was, while it's certainly something that I felt convicted by, I don't feel guilty by it, but I also am like, that is something to explore, and that is something to figure out a way through. And I know that I don't have to do that on my own, but I was really, really encouraged by that and by that message. I say all that to say, you know, it's one thing to get in front of a camera and to talk about all the things. And I have people who, you know, we have people who watch our videos who I know love to get to see, you know, the funnier, softer side of Adam and I. And, you know, one of the things that we are passionate about is sharing our walk and sharing our journey. And I'll tell you, it's not easy to put yourself out there in front of other people, especially in this day and age, as a Christian who proclaims themselves as a Christian, who, you know, isn't always operating in, I'll say this, I am typically not the majority in most groups in my day-to-day. And that doesn't stop me. I am a big believer in meeting people where they are, and whether they believe it or not, showing them, you know, the love and the grace, that an ounce of the love and the grace that I've been shown through Jesus. And that is important to me. And so it is not my goal to change people. It is my goal to show them and leave a lasting impression on someone. And I can do that by becoming greater. I can do that by understanding my true identity. And it's so easy to just get swept up in just the crap of the world, because the world will lie to you. And typically when I'm having a hard moment, you know, I've had moments where I'm, like I said, I'm feeling afraid to step into that next phase because I'm not worthy. I'm not, insert the thing, insert the excuse, insert the fear or the worry. And when those things happen, I have to just stop in that moment and remind myself, like, and ask myself truly, what are the lies that I'm believing right now? And let's write them out, or let's talk them out, because they're all lies. Truly, they're all lies. Like I promised my husband when we got married that, you know, when I said I do, that I would be his wife. And that has some prerequisites to it. That has some requirements to it. And I don't take that lightly. And I have taken that lightly in the past. And it happens, right? We take our spouse for granted, and you can turn on the coast, or what I call roommate mode, and you just kind of do your lives together and in tandem. And I think what is important is that I show up each and every day for my husband, for my children, for myself. Wanted to share my experience, whether you are at the end of this video or not. But I also wanted to share with you and encourage you that if you're not taking time out to be around people that fill your cup and to say yes to things that you need to say yes to. I knew, even though I was like, gosh, I could really stand a Friday night at home, and I could stand a Saturday morning to sleep in, I was like, no, I feel like I need to go. And I followed the gut, and I went, and I was so happy that I went. And I just wanted to share that with you. Like, take time for you, even if it's 5 minutes in the morning. Find out how, you know, you fill yourself up, you fill your cup up, and speak all the good things into your life. I'm taking a step. I've done this before. I'm doing this in a different light now. You know, a lot of this has been around goals and the things that I want. And don't get me wrong, those are all really important things, but these are words of life that are going to impact myself, my husband, our children, all of the things. Anyway, so I hope that you enjoyed this message and my ramblings for, I don't know how long before I edited this video. It's about 20 minutes. But with that being said, I've got to get out of here. I hope that you have an amazing day and that you enjoyed this Wine Talk Wednesday, which I promise we'll be back with wine in the coming weeks. I'm certainly excited to crack open a bottle as we celebrate our 7-year wedding anniversary on the 3rd. That went so fast, but it also is like, where does time go? And with that being said, you guys, I'm gonna get out of here. I hope that you have an amazing day. Thank you so much for checking out this video. We would love, Adam and I would love for you to follow along with us. We have some vlogs and things that we're going to be sharing with you. We have a lot of exciting things going on in the background right now, and we are being more intentional about getting content out there. So if you love to follow along with real married couples and just see life in action, I'm not even gonna share like all the exciting things that we have coming up, but we own a business together. My husband owns a business full-time as well. He does custom home renovations. I work in software development. We're getting ready to start our family. Like, we have a lot of things happening right now, and it's just so exciting. So if you like content like this, if you like real talks like this, I'd love to have you hit the subscribe button down below. I'm only gonna ask you one time, and then if you hit that little bell, it gives you a notification at every single time we post a new video. So while we haven't put ourselves on a schedule yet, you can get notified in your inbox whenever we post something new. So we would love to have you support us in that, and let us know you're here. Leave a comment. We like that too. So with that being said, you guys, I'm gonna get out of here. Have a great day, and we'll see you later. Bye.